Welcome into episode number 161 of The Voice Behind the Voice. I'm Sean Aronson, the TV and radio broadcaster for the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team in the Twin Cities. Well, as I told you last week, I was going to record this open a little earlier because we head out on a 10-game, 11-day road trip beginning on Monday. And so, since we're not going to be here, I'm going to record this week's and next week's right now on Sunday, where your new favorite team sits at 6 wins and 3 losses and in first place early on in the year. You know, it's people keep asking me, are you looking forward to going on the road? And it's the longest homestand that I've ever had to start a season. My answer is a resounding yes. And it has nothing to do with me not liking being at home. The comforts of home and sleeping in your own bed and eating the food that you have and all that makes it extremely convenient. But, and don't take this as me complaining, I'm just simply telling you how the behind the curtain works. I get so much more done on the road, right? You're not being pulled in a million different directions. You're not being asked to do a bunch of different things. And so when you're on the road, it's a lot easier to prep. It's a lot easier to write any press releases you have. It's a lot easier to do a bunch of different stuff that you want to do, any research you want to do. It's so much easier in a hotel without a million things going on. So the answer is yes. And the funny thing is, about day 7 or day 8 of the road trip, I'm going to be begging to come back home. And that's just the way it is. The sweet spot for broadcasters, and I'm not speaking for everyone, I'm speaking for me, is about a week at home and a week on the road. And if you can bounce in between that, that seems to be the perfect spot right there. But 10 days and then out on the road for 11, where we travel through Lincoln, down to Cleburne, Texas, through Dallas and back home, all by bus. And you have to wait a couple of weeks before I tell you about what it was like. But it is a lot of travel, a lot of time to spend on a bus from Lincoln down to Cleburne. I think it's about 9-10 hours in a car. And then from Dallas back to Minnesota at the tail end of the trip, I think it's about 14 hours. So we're not flying anywhere. It's all going to be by bus. So there you go. I'll report back in a couple of weeks. With that said, a man who knows all about the travel during baseball season, episode number 161 is with Ben Wagner of the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a guy that literally got his job, I don't know, a couple weeks before the baseball season started, that he was the AAA broadcaster for the Blue Jays. Major league guy decided he was going to retire, and the job went to him. And a young guy, but a guy that has paid his dues and definitely earned the spot at the top. He also talks about he was a finalist for the Dodgers job a few years ago. Not in the current version that Joe Davis got, but a few years ago when Eric Collins wound up with that job, filling in before Vin Scully had retired. So we talk about that, of course, and a lot of different things. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, you can do so iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to rate it, and then you can follow us on social media, Twitter at The Voice BTV, Facebook, facebook.com/TheVoiceBTV. You can always email me, thevoicebtv@gmail.com. All right, let's get to it. Episode number 161 with Ben Wagner of the Toronto Blue Jays. JW, I bet you're happy that I'm getting out of town. Roll the open.
The phone rings, and it was, I think it was my agent first that called because the Dodgers reached out to them. So they called my agent, and my agent said, "Do you want to be in the big leagues? And here's your shot." And of course, it is one of the blue bloods of the game. And I said, "Well, what's happening?" And they're like, "Well, we want to bring you out and audition."